we're talking this morning, Live Theatre UK, talking to Bill Buckhurst. That's a good name, Bill.
Thank you.
Is that your family name? Is that your real name?
It is, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's quite unusual. Yeah, I haven't met any other Buckhurst, but yeah, I keep being told it's a strong name. I sound like a quarterback or something.
What had you get into this business? Did you, looking back, did you see as a young man that you would be the Bill that you are today? Sounds deep, doesn't it?
It does. Wow, where do I start? Where do I start with that one? A series of sort of, I suppose, a mixture of like hopes and dreams and chance, really. I guess got me to being in the business, and I think it was going to see shows as a kid taken by my parents who were keen.
It's usually that, isn't it?
Yeah, and a few particularly memorable trips to the theatre which got me excited. I'm just talking to you, I was reminded of going to see the very first production of Cats back in the day, and my parents had gone to see it, I think, in like one of the opening weeks.
I can't imagine what a kid. How old were you? What made you that?
I was about 7 or 8.
Well, see, that's the thing is when you have a memory like that, it is larger than life.
It's extraordinary, and this, I'd been to see shows before as a youngster, but being sat in the stalls and that opening number where the cat's literally coming into
face,
going in your face, and you felt totally immersed in it, and. Because my parents had seen it before, they knew that Brian Blessed, who must have been old Deuteronomy in the show, would sit on the stage and
during interval,
and kids would go up and sort of chat to him. So because they knew that, they said, go up and have a chat. So I did.
And all of a sudden you have the new London Theatre before you.
It was something a bit like that, because I remember sitting on the stage and he was just so lovely, and he said, sit here, just sit and see what it's like to be a performer on the stage, and look out there, look at the wonderful auditorium and the audience. And I remember sitting there thinking, God, this is really fantastic, amazing.
Wow.
I have that memory lodged in my brain, and
wow.
So thank you, Brian Blessed.
You are an actor.
I trained as an actor.
You sing? Because
no,
I'm intrigued.
Very badly. Very, very badly. I started this sort of road into the business via drama school, training as an actor. Before that, I went to university. I mean, I was probably, like every young person with a family who aren't used to that kind of profession, I suppose, performing profession. They were probably a little bit nervous about me being in the business, the precarious nature of it. Certainly when I was starting out, and I think subsequently I probably was a little bit nervous too myself to really sort of take the plunge as a 17, 18-year-old. So
I often think we're very brave performers.
I think so. I mean, I think nowadays, every profession seems to be pretty precarious.
That's true.
But as they say as well, what was something in your blood, something in your bones. If you're going to do it, nothing's going to stop you.
This is why I ask you what you are. I mean, I know that you act, but do you see yourself as an actor-director, or a director who acts, or an actor that is moving into directing, or?
I mean, I don't do so much acting these days. It's quite hard in this, certainly in this country. I discovered that it's quite hard to keep the two things going. I mean, there are many brilliant people out there who do manage to do that, but I think it's quite tricky. And you can't
blame people for thinking, gee, Bill's a really good director, get him to direct that. They don't necessarily then at the same thought think, and we've got something next week and we'll get him to act in that too. You sort of get known for what you do, or what you did last, or what people like the thought of you doing.
I think so. And as well, you sort of follow where your passion is, and For a while, I had both of them, together in parallel. Really, my passion for both acting and directing, and for whatever reason, more recently I've been doing more directing.
The thing that stands out for me is the production that you did of Sweeney Todd for the Tooting Arts
Club. Yeah.
Club. How did you get in with them? Is that because you're a local?
I know that area very well, Tooting. I love it very much. I've known the producer of Tooting Arts Club, Rachel Edwards, for quite a long time. We're good pals, and she comes to see my shows that I've directed, and she was they'd done a show above a pub in Tooting called Invasion, which I came to see and I really liked, and she invited me to come direct their next show. We both have a kind of a passion for sort of producing shows in spaces which are non-traditional theatre spaces, I suppose. And I suppose what some people might call site specific, we sort of prefer the term sort of site responsive, finding the space, the right place for the right play.
Right.
And because there's no theatre as such in Tooting, it seemed
Why not? Why not?
I don't know.
Why not a pie shop?
Why not? Why not a pie shop? Yeah, exactly. And a musical, a show I've wanted to be involved with for so long, and Rachel said, "Well, what about doing it in Harrington?"
So, how did I can understand you wanting to direct? I'm not quite sure I understand why you want to direct a musical, because I imagine it's a very different thing.
Well, yeah,
you've done both.
Yeah, it is. Look.
Is it easier,
something
more
like
difficult? Is the fact that music is in there, is it good for the mix, or is it just complicate stuff? Or?
I mean, I love music, and I love that particular show. Particularly, it's so smart. It's so lyrically so, and the orchestrations are incredible. It really affects me as a piece, and it's hard to work on something which doesn't grab you. Doesn't sort of speak to you in some way, and it's it's a thrilling piece of theatre. And weirdly, I mean, I don't necessarily think of it as a musical. I just think of it as an incredibly powerful, thrilling piece of theatre. It happens to be a musical, and yet, sort of once it started, you just really want to take an audience on a journey with you, and whether that be with music or not, it's the same kind of thing.
I mean, I spoke to Jeremy Seckham, who played the lead role for you. He said that one of the great things that he found with you was that because perhaps your background was not totally from a music theatre background, you were just approaching it as a piece.
Yeah.
Rather than a musical or
I guess I come with no for good or for bad. I mean, I come with no sort of preconceptions of that world. I've enjoyed watching musicals, and I know lots of people involved with them. I've never really, but as a director, never been part of that world. So yeah, I guess you come with the kind of tools that you've sort of amassed over whatever experience you've had so far.
So you've had the first production meeting. You've got Sweeney Todd. You've decided that you'll do it in a pie shop. Was there a moment afterwards where you thought, wait a minute, what? And then what was the biggest logistical problem you had?
Well,
PowerPoints.
Well, that was down on maybe number 10 on the list. Number one was it's a working pie shop. So trying to work out, So
they had to stay open.
They were open until like 6 or whatever every night, and then we had to get in. So it was like, okay. So you've got to look at all the challenges facing you, I think, as strengths in some way, and try and use them to your advantage. So I mean, one of the things that I was really clear about was once Rachel talked about the idea, and we went in there to sort of like really think about how it might work. One thing I was really clear about was, we've got to use what we've got, and the greatest thing that we have at our disposal is this working pie shop. It sounds obvious, but
so we don't work against it.
We don't work against it, and so I remember the first meeting with our lighting designer, saying, "Okay, I don't want to see any lights." Like, what? What do you mean? I don't want to see. We don't want it to look like a theatre.
Yeah.
And that was kind of yeah, exactly. No, absolutely nothing like that, because we want people to come in and think they're in a pie shop and then be taken on this amazing journey. And there's, I mean, in Harrington's, if anybody saw it in the original the venue in the shop itself, I mean, it has 32 seats. It's tiny, a cast of 8, a band of 3, and you know, literally, I just wanted to use every single inch of space that shop had.
You have to,
and because you kind of have to, and and then use that to your advantage. So, you know, and I think, you know, that's kind of really the only way to approach it. And certainly, when we've done shows in other spaces which are, you know, have their own challenges. We've just done a production of Barbarians in what used to be the Central St Martin's School of Art on Charing Cross Road. Similar thing. You've got to make use of that space and tell the story using all those things that the space offers you, and hopefully that will help tell the story in, you know, in a dynamic and exciting way.
Does it get more difficult when you have, because you had you made such an impression with that production? Does it then follow that the next thing that you're doing or the next musical you do, it's like, it can't be Sondheim, I can't always, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, isn't it, this business? I mean, you know, they say you're only as good as your last show. Well, yeah, I understand that, but at the same time, I'm sure I'm no different to any other director out there. You just try and get on with it and try and do. You're always trying to do your best work, by which I mean you're always trying to tell the story in an exciting way and a way which is going to interest and grab the interest of your audience. You know, for me as a director, I'm kind of greedy. I want to direct all kinds of different things. I mean, before I did Sweeney, you know, I've been directing Shakespeare, you know, new writing, all kinds of stuff.
I was going to ask you about Shakespeare. Yeah. What is Shakespeare to you? Because everyone has their own relationship.
Yeah, I mean, telling the story about cats. You know, being something which grabbed me as a kid. I mean, Shakespeare never grabbed me as a young person at all. It's something which I came to kind of later. I probably had a few less than sort of positive experiences as a young person.
Me too.
Shakespeare. And I think that's not unlike many people's experience.
Yeah. Usually associated with experimental theatres that didn't have very comfortable seating, and I've got very long legs.
Yeah, okay.
So it's like, don't make me sit through those shows.
I've never had that problem myself, but it's certainly boredom. I mean, as a kid, I probably went to go and see the wrong kinds of productions. I don't know, but it took me a while to connect, and when I did, and that was probably a mix of performing it as a student, studying it with a really influential teacher or two at school, and sort of understanding it, and understanding the fact that, you know, this was a guy who probably wouldn't have expected to be put on such a pedestal 400 years on.
I often think that.
You know, underneath this extraordinary, wonderful language are really fantastic, cracking stories.
Yes.
And that's probably one of the reasons why they stand up to time so well, and why we want to keep watching them.
And great characters.
Great characters. And, you know, they're dealing with very human conditions, and that's sort of what has always, you know, grabbed me. And you know, I've been lucky enough to work quite a bit at the Globe in various capacities, and there in that theatre, when you kind of see those words come alive in that space, and you understand that, you know, these plays were written for that kind of space where there's no roof, where everyone's being lit with the same light, that you're all part of this performance together, that you feel really involved. It just, I don't know.
Very sad thing that sometimes our experiences as young people cannot always be that positive with Shakespeare, although it seems that is changing very much these days. What we know about these plays is that they were designed to be performed, not sort of read even out loud in a classroom.
I haven't been to the new venue.
Yeah,
Have you worked in there?
I have, yeah, the Wanamaker Playhouse. It's, can I say, I mean, it's exquisite. It's one
the
of those,
idea of that just really.
Well, I mean, you know, it's entirely lit by candlelight.
Amazing.
It's got an instant atmosphere which is so magical. And again, you see plays written originally, you know, for a space like that. You go, oh gosh, it suddenly sort of slots into place. And yeah, I've been very lucky to work there, not on a Shakespeare actually, but on a adaptation I did of an epic poem by Derek Walcott called Omeros. And again, the language is exquisite, and, you know, really made for a place like that, for a space like that. And so that building's very, very special to me.
What is next for you? What is...
Well, I'm directing some Shakespeare. I'm directing in the new year a.
Are you one of those
production
people
called
that's sort of got lots of... I often think that, you know, when you have projects in front of you and it's sort of like a roadmap and you could go down there with it, it's often the least... the one that you least expect to come off is the one that...
Yeah, kind of. I mean, you know, I kind of just try and go with the flow, really. I mean, like, you know, people
It's
sometimes...
showbiz, isn't it?
Showbiz, I guess. I mean, you know, I came through sort of maybe an unusual path. I mean, a lot of directors assist, maybe have relationships with buildings from an early age. You know, I didn't come through that path. So, you know, I sort of tend to kind of go with the flow, really. And, you know, I've been asked before, you know, what kind of career path, you know, where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? You know, it's impossible to say. Just kind of, what I often find is that, you know, work, you know, if you're lucky, work
Leads to more work, yeah.
And you get to meet more people and blah, blah, blah.
I sometimes think even the actors and the directors and the people in the show business who sound like they do know what they're doing, actually don't. They just sort of put it out there, you know.
I couldn't possibly say it.
Because, you know. Now tell me, thank you very much for speaking to us today. I saw some reference to the 007 movie in your biography.
Yes. Yes, you did.
Please tell me.
I mean, you know,
that is the coolest credit.
Yeah, it's when I was an actor, I remember I did an episode of a show called it's going to come back to me. Can't remember what it was now. It'll come back to me in a minute. But I remember it was shooting at Palmer Studios, and I used to drive past the 007 plot every day. It was really amazing, the coolest kind of building you've ever seen in life. And just, I remember every day going past saying to myself, one day, I just want to cough and spit in one of those movies. That's what I want to do. I just want to be in one of these movies. And
be careful what you wish for.
yeah, be careful what you wish for. I didn't last long in that particular movie, but I have a huge amount to thank Sam Mendes for, who gave me a very small part in at the beginning of Skyfall. Yeah. And I had a great day on set, wonderful day watching this incredible director at work, and watching the amazing Daniel Craig as well, and this extraordinary crew.
Amazing, yeah.
Really, really thrilling, actually. And you know, as much as it was a thrill to be, you know, doing a tiny, tiny, tiny weeny bit in a film like that, it was an amazing learning experience.
You were there?
Yeah. And, you know,
were you a goodie or a baddie? I've got to go back and watch Skyfall.
That was a 00, man. You know, I could tell you, but I'd have to kill you.
Thank you very much for talking to us.